Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. Psychedelic here. Got you a new video today. It's a vinyl update. Got quite the stack here today. Got like 7 LPs, I think it is. Just a mixed bag, a variety of things. Not just psychedelic, but a couple power poppy things, and then a care package, a couple thrift store finds, stuff from the shops. So just kind of a mixed bag. But before I begin on that, I want to give a channel shout out, someone that I had just discovered. He had mentioned me in a description of his latest video. I don't think he's put out too many videos from what I could tell. I still have to go back and watch the first couple of his. It's a channel called Grooves And Grails. I'll put the little picture there where you can find him. And then I'll leave a link in the description so make it easy for you. His name's Jake, and he's been showing some pretty cool albums and nice descriptors. You know, it's kind of nice to see another psych channel out there, you know, because a lot of these channels in the community anymore, it seems like they just kind of weave in and out. At least the people I know, back 5 or so years ago. Life gets in the way, and I know I've had my breaks, and I'm also thinking maybe next year I might take another little break on my own, but I'll definitely leave a little better of a message, more of a video targeted towards that when the time comes. So anyways, I'm going to kick off with a package I received from Dom, unexpectedly I should say, because he was going through another reissue purge, and he had asked me if I was interested in any titles he had on this Google Docs or whatever, and I glanced at the list, and at the time I was kind of focused on one online pickup and then one at the shop, so I was kind of in a bind at the time and didn't have any extra PayPal funds at the time as well to kind of get away with it. But he's still sent them my way, and I'm very thankful. These are two that I wouldn't mind picking up down the road if I saw them myself, but it's really nice just to receive them this way too. So very thankful, Dom, that we've had a little more of a partnership in the last year or so, communicating and stuff, seeing what we're seeking out there. I'm still looking for some John Fahey for you, man. Out in my, while I'm thrifting and stuff. So even though you might be already pretty much settled with Fahey, I'm still keeping an eye out. I do see his records occasionally in the $2 bin, but they are records that you already have. But yeah, these are a couple nice additions to the collection. This is one that I was a little skeptical about picking up when Gearson first was announcing they were reissuing this. But considering it's a Rockadelic press of all of this is originally released on the Century Custom label back in 1968. It's a Rockadelic press. And like I said, Gearson just reissued this a couple years ago, and I was a little on the fence about it. I mean, I liked it, but there were a couple ballady tracks I didn't care for too much, and I think I still feel the same way. I mean, there might be a cut here or two that I could pass or skip over, but overall, it's kind of warmed up to me a little more. And yeah, it's basically garage rock, but they are definitely chiming in that sort of zombies mixed with kind of birdsy kind of sounds. And there are some cover songs on here, including a Birds track, Bells of Rhymney. And yeah, the only thing I don't like about this particular press, and that goes for, I think, a lot of Rockadelic pressings, they always invert the track listing. I don't know what that was all about, if that was just to get away with copyright back in the day. I have no clue. But yeah, all the tracks are pretty much inverted except for the last track, Bye Bye Baby. But it opens up originally with Rely, which is the 4th track on here. And that's definitely one of the stronger cuts, I would say. Has this really kind of rock-driven, sort of edgy, kind of garage rockin' kind of vibe. Reminds me a little bit of like some of those opening tracks from the Tiffany Shade. Even the vocal styling too can be a little over the top, but it sort of fits in that same kind of camp. And some of the ballady tracks do work as well. And I mentioned the Tiffany Shade because there's a lot of electric piano on here, which isn't typical of a lot of garage bands, I would say. It's a lot more Farfisa organ, and there is some of that on here as well. But yeah, it's got that very teen beat, kind of, rave up kind of sound, very inspired by the British sounds and, by the mop top look. Overall, really dig this one, and I hadn't heard it in quite a while too, so it's kind of a nice revisit. I don't know if this originally came with the insert. This one doesn't have one. But thank you so much, Dom. This is one that I was definitely interested in, though, when you shared that list. That's kind of interesting on the label. It says Dave will die on side 1, and then Dave is dead on side 2. And I read up and looked into that, and it looks like Rich kind of had like a sense of humor. And, you know, Rich Hobbs behind Rockadelic, he had a way of just kind of throwing some humor in there. Don't know if it's some sort of inside joke like Dave's not here kind of thing, but yeah, it was originally on Century. I think they only pressed maybe less than 500 copies, I think. I think it was a pretty low press count. But yeah, all of this very much fits in the same kind of bags as like the Box, the Rebs from Iowa, Grandma's Rockers. But yeah, you know, kind of the mix of originals and cover songs, but not too many covers. So pretty cool. And it's got kind of a lo-fi kind of sound too, obviously. And then the other one I was not too familiar with. I had seen this online before, and I think it was kind of what I was looking into earlier this year or this summer. I was kind of getting into some like minimal ambient kind of records from all different years, and this is one that kind of piqued my interest just by the cover, you know. I'm kind of getting interested in more of like tape manipulation kind of records with the use of ambient noise. And this is one such case, The Same, Sink or Swim. I think this came out in 1981, 1980, around there. And naturally kind of psychedelic in its own way, with the use of like tape delay. And I think it's all kind of led by one person, is that right? Robert Cox, I think, is like the lead of this group. But there's a lot of things going on here with, you know, the keyboard, different graphics, and sort of these tape machines. But I still need to get familiar with the background behind this record. I think they are UK based, and it does come with a, you know, sort of a sheet explaining a little bit more on the liner notes, which I just kind of skimmed over, but it looks like it's very much coming from that sort of world here. There's like a photocopy of the tape, and one of the tracks is sped up, I noticed, and it says this track is meant to be at double speed. So yeah, like I said, a lot of tape play going on here. I don't remember what side 2 sounds like. I know it's a side-long track, but side 1 kind of stuck with me. It's a little more tropical, kind of watery guitar kind of sounds. Yeah, very guitar-based. A lot of small interludes mixed with some lengthier tracks. So yeah, I need to give this another dedicated listen, but so far, I really like what I'm hearing here. Kind of a plain looking label. So thank you very much, Dom, for sending this my way. I'm really going to dive into these a little more. Well, especially this one. I gave all of this a couple listens on the turntable, and yeah, it's good stuff. So thank you, Dom, for continuing the little friendship thing we got going on. Starting all the way back with you sending me, I think it was the Patron Saints. I remember when you first sent that to me, I was like, who's this Dom guy? Like, I think that was before you started making videos. I was like, who's this guy wanting to send a record? It was just so out of the blue at the time, but I really appreciate, you know, from the beginning, all the records you sent me. But this next one we talked about in the last video, so I'll show it kind of briefly, and you guys can check out the video prior to this. This is Food, Forever is a Dream, one of the top 4 sort of rarities on the Capitol label, with Euphoria, Gandalf, The Common People, and then this one. So far I have Gandalf in this as far as the Capitol originals. Euphoria, I don't know if I'll ever pick up an original of that. I'm still kind of on the fence about it in some ways. Maybe once I own it, it'll hit differently, but The Common People would be kind of nice to have. I have a Scorpio repress of that. But yeah, I forgot to mention in the Acid Archive video that, you know, these dudes definitely look like some squares, right? Definitely doesn't have that psych appeal that we're kind of looking for, but it does deliver, though. And I always like to imagine that photo shot as kind of like them walking out of the Capitol office like, yeah, man, we got the record deal down. I think it's one of the finest psych releases on Capitol at the time. So check out my last video if you want to hear more about that. Okay, and these next two, these are two that are from the shop. Right alongside, I bought these at the same time as food. Bought this one first, and this is one that, again, I wasn't too familiar with this band's previous work in their discog, but I knew, being on the Brain label, Steamhammer, I knew this was going to be a little more free-oriented rock than their previous blues rock kind of style. And this is their last release, being on Brain. Got a cool gatefold here. I showed this in the live stream when I was doing my can live stream, if you guys caught wind of that. I got canned a couple times, but I try to do my copyright check beforehand, and I guess a couple of those songs and one video slipped through, so anyways, at least I didn't get any copyright strikes. They just take the stream down. But anyways, Steamhammer, these guys were, I think, UK based, and I'll get the full effect of this cover too on the front and back. A lot going on there. It's like it opens up this kind of, I don't know if that's supposed to be like a planet or an egg. It's kind of a wild design. But yeah, this is barely has any blues rock, which is kind of nice for me. And I would say this one kind of meanders a little bit. Got a full-length track on side A, which kind of sweeps along. It has its moments, but sometimes it's kind of like, I feel like they're kind of running out of steam with Steamhammer in their name. But overall, I mean, I'd say A-side's probably the best. But once it gets to that last track, there's like only 3 tracks in total, kind of lengthier cuts. And there's some good riffs here and there too, but it's only momentarily. Like, they don't seem to last very long. They'll kind of go to these heavy segues and then these like, kind of quieter, soft segues. But the last track on side B has this like overlong, kind of overcooked drum solo that just does not go anywhere. It just seems like he's kind of running out of ideas, and it's pretty tedious drum solo. It's nothing to rave about too much. I'd say over the years, a lot of these releases on Brain kind of start to mesh or kind of merge against each other, sounding the same over time. So I kind of forgot what this sounded like. But revisiting this, it's pretty typical of the time. Sort of that prog, hard rock kind of style, merging with psychedelia. Sort of that post-hippie psych era from overseas. But yeah, I'm not too crazy about it, but I don't think I would like their earlier stuff either. But I'll keep this just because of the Brain metronome connection, because I do love the label and sort of the trajectory of which the releases come from. But it's got some high moments, but I'd say half of it works really strong, and maybe the last quarter just kind of falls flat on its face, for me at least. And the album's called Speech, by the way. This came out in 1972. So got this for a pretty good deal otherwise. Seems to be fairly affordable, considering most Brain releases. And then I was watching, caught up on 8 Vinyl Low's channel, Emma. She was showing this album, and I just happened to find it the next day out in the $4 bin. This is Pezband, their second album here. This is, what's this called? Oh, Laughing in the Dark. Yeah. I think this came out like 77, 78 around there. It's kind of a weird looking cover. But I've only listened to half of this, the first side, and I'd say, it's a good follow-up, pretty solid. Love Goes Underground, that hooks you right in. That's my favorite so far. Still have to kind of revisit this one, the second half at least, but overall, pretty solid. I wouldn't say it surpasses the first one, but definitely has that kind of glitzy, power poppy kind of sound in a good way. Cool shot of the band there. And yeah, for $4, man, I mean, sometimes he's always sneaking stuff in there that is always of interest. So definitely a used copy, but that's totally fine by me. It's not like Pezband's gonna get always played around here, but it's part of my power pop journey that I've been on this year, and my friend's kind of been influencing me, my bandmate. I do have Pezband's first album, and that one does get a lot of rotation around here, it seems. So we'll see how the second one latches on. I do like what I'm hearing so far. And then finally, these last two, these are a couple that I actually found in rural Nebraska, here outside of Lincoln, Crete, Nebraska. I haven't gone there in years, and I think the last time I was there was maybe like, right at the start of the pandemic. Just had no reason to go back there, and they actually closed one of their thrift shops. I did score some records there last time, but they really renovated the whole town. It seemed like a lot of restaurants closed, the thrift store closed. So I was just kind of driving through last weekend and just decided to stop in, not expecting to find much. And to my surprise, I mean, these aren't in the best shape. They could be a lot better, but worst case scenario, I hang these album covers up on my wall. Well, this first one though, especially, but we'll talk about it. Emmett Rhodes, The American Dream. What an awesome find, right? I had to color a little bit of that water damage. Figured I'd put my own little spin on the cover, but as you can see, it's got some water damage on the bottom, so I was kind of thinking, I bet the disc is just beat to hell. And it kind of is, but I tested it on my turntable. I gave it a nice clean. It's got some pretty ugly marks. I'll show it. See if it's showing up a little bit. Now, if I had my light bulb in front of me, I'd show you, it would show up better, but it's got some ugly scuffs on there. White label promo. And this thing does play pretty well, to my surprise. It's like a G+, borderline VG. And I'm happy with it. I mean, and they were $1. I'll try to insert maybe this for the thumbnail, or just insert that photo of me finding them for $1. But yeah, The American Dream, this is like, I think it's a second solo record, but it's not really a solo record from my understanding. It's more like leftover sessions from the merry-go-round. Because there are some merry-go-round tracks on here, and this is actually a repress, because the first edition actually had a totally different cover with Emmett standing in front of like a burger shop or burger shack. And for some reason, A&M thought the cover was ugly, so they replaced it with this, something a little more American, I guess. But yeah, and it also omits a track from that original release onto here. It doesn't include the track Saturday Night, which is actually, I think, one of the better tracks of his, in my opinion. Some great early pre-power pop moves. But this does feature one of my favorite tracks from the merry-go-round, Come Ride, Come Ride, on side 1. Looks like someone had some doodling on there, but yeah, I actually spotted this in my local shop one time, and it was like 15, 20 bucks or something, and I wanted to take a chance on it, and the next day I went to the shop, it was gone, and it was in the shop forever, and I just never picked up on it, having not realized it was merry-go-round sessions. And this one's kind of pricey. I'd say it's maybe the most pricey Emmett Rhodes merry-go-round kind of release. And I'm actually still looking for the first merry-go-round record on A&M. Every time it pops up, it's like the price and condition just never match. It's never a good match for me, so I'm still kind of on the lookout for that. And but I'm really happy to turn out with some Emmett Rhodes. Definitely influenced by some Paul McCartney. He's definitely his doppelganger as far as the music's concerned. And then this one, just looking at the cover, man, it's like I had an itch that this was something, and it was. The Forest and the Sea by Scott Key. Don't know a whole lot about this artist. I didn't look up too much of his background, but it looked like he had released a couple private LPs, including this one, Blevitt Music. But apparently this is kind of sought after online, at least according to Discogs. Maybe median price is like 40, 50 bucks around there. And this was still sealed, but again, had some water damage on the cover. And the cover is the worst part. The record actually cleaned up very well. Get a shot of that here too. And I only gave this a quick stream on my phone, and it appears to be some like instrumental, sort of acoustic, American primitive kind of folk sounds. Like I said, I think he had another album on the same label too. So I'll definitely be selling this down the road here shortly. But yeah, just figured I'd show that. Scott Key, love that cover. And then that is all I have for now. So yeah, the year's kind of wrapping up. I can't wait to share my top finds of the year. Still got them sort of cataloged in my phone, what to share. And I might share some honorable mentions too, because there was a lot of surprisingly decent finds this year, including the 45 I might use as the honorable mention. I like to keep it LP based, but there might be a 45 sneaking in there as well. So till then, hope you guys are enjoying the live streams as well. I've just been taking more time on Fridays to see how people are hanging, and it seems like people that hang out in the live chat are different than the ones that comment, which is fine. Everybody has to find their place here on the platform, and just really enjoy everybody's company that have been here for the long haul and the newcomers. So yeah, I'll be taking some time off next week too. My birthday's coming up, so figured I'd take some vacation time off. Anyways, take care. Check out these records that I've been sharing, and we shall see you soon.